What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Cambridge University Press Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion video. I'm Magister Bracey, otherwise known as John Bracey, and I'm here to present for you on the topic of the case for representation. In a series of 3 videos, this is number 1, where I am going to make the argument for why it is not only good, but necessary and academically responsible to use racially inclusive imagery and depictions in your classrooms. And I'm going to make this argument to you in 3 videos. As I said before, this is number 1. The case for representation, the basics of race. We are going to start from the very beginning here, because in order to free you up in your classrooms to be able to represent people as they would have been represented, or simply just to open up your range of choices, we need to understand what race is and how it works. So I'm going to give you the quick rundown. We start with a little quiz here. It's a who am I, where I'm going to describe an historical figure to you from their perspective, and then I'm going to have you take a moment and think if you can figure out who this is. Who am I? I am a famous historical figure. I was born in Nebraska. Because of my signature red hair and freckles, I was given the nickname Red. Take a moment. Think. Come up with an image of your head of this person. See if you can figure out who they are. All right, I gave you a moment. Now, this was an easy one. I'm sure it was obvious for all of you. I guess it was probably the born in Nebraska part, maybe the red hair and freckles. I don't know what gave it away, but clearly this is Malcom X. That's what you were all thinking, right? Born in Nebraska? Known by the nickname Red early in life based on his signature red hair and freckles? Malcom X. What? Is some of you telling me that Malcom X wasn't the first image that popped into your head based on that description? Now imagine this. 2,000 years from now, you were to find this bit of text describing Malcom X. You were to say, Malcom X was born in Nebraska, an historically majority white state of the United States of America. Let's say that that's even known. They see a physical description of him, and it says that he has red hair and freckles. Now, do we assume that this is going to be one of the preeminent African-American civil rights figures of our time? Probably not. We might think of a white person with red hair and freckles like we typically do. But we would be incorrect. Do you see where I'm going with this? Here's where we get into trouble. Here's a quote from Herodotus describing the people of Colchis up by the Black Sea in Europe. Supposedly, he went there, looked at the people, and drew these conclusions. He said, the Egyptians said that they considered the Colchians part of Sesostris' army. I myself guessed it, partly because they are dark-skinned and woolly-haired. Herodotus. Now, it may shock you to find out that based on this description, that we're saying, okay, according to Herodotus, these people look like Africans, in this case, specifically Egyptians. And the reason why they look that way is because of their dark skin and their woolly hair. So I've described to you a dark-skinned, woolly-haired African, and it might surprise you that the overwhelming majority of scholarship written about this quote argues vehemently against this being a description of what we would call a black person. Now, if we consider back to that quote before where he described a person with red hair and freckles and it turned out to be a black guy, here we're having someone clearly described as a black person, and we're assuming also that it's a white person. Why is this happening? Why is this confusing? Here's why. The basics of race is why this is confusing, and why your understanding of what people may or may not have looked like is likely just all over the place and probably off. Basics of race here. 1, race is social, not scientific. I mean literally. I don't mean this as a, well, it's just, theoretically. I'm not talking like, look, I really want to get this into your head here. There is no such thing as race. Literally, there is no scientific observation of race. Now, I'll take it even a step further here to try to help you understand the meaning of this concept here. That this is not observed in nature. Race is not an observed phenomenon. We don't have evidence that throughout history people identified a thing that we would call race. The concept of race, the theory of it, is that human beings are divided into, 1, the main human species, what we would call white people, and then everyone else is part of a subspecies. This is not observable. Nobody ever looked at the world and saw it that way. No one looked at different groups of people and saw that. That is not something that is observed anywhere historically. This is purely socially constructed, meaning that if you are reading descriptions of other people, you're hearing other people described, you cannot expect that people are going to look and say, oh, I'm seeing a Negro, or I'm seeing a black person, and I just don't have the words. I know this is a category, I just can't find the words for it. No. They're not observing that. They're literally observing the physical characteristics that they're seeing before them. Were there all types of other kinds of discrimination and othering and difference making and all that? Absolutely. But this one did not exist. Period. So when I say that race is social, not scientific, I need you to grasp the significance of that. I need you to grasp how literally I mean that. It does not exist. So when you're looking back at ancient sources and whatnot, you're looking at your materials, and you're looking for definitive evidence of someone saying, oh, this person's Caucasian, this person's white, this person is Asiatic, you're not going to find it. Other thing to know about race is that this is new. Historically, this is brand spanking new. This is a very, very, very new concept, and one that varies wildly from region to region. There is no consistency all the way through. So again, if you're looking back thousands of years and expecting to see the same sort of racial thought and racialized depictions of people, you're not going to find it. Other thing that is equally important to the other three is that race is designed for the purpose of racism. The two are invented at the same time for purposes of justifying colonialization, slavery, segregation, apartheid, every other kind of discrimination you can think of. It was designed. It was a fictional category based on a fictional science for the purpose of justifying the inhumane treatment of other people. That's it. So these are the basics of race that I need you to grasp for the rest of the series to make sense. Okay? Starting here is where you're going to be able to make a big difference in how you teach and how you select materials and how you operate as a teacher going forward. I've been John Bracey. Look out for video number 2 in our series, and I'll see you then. All right? Take care. Wale.